Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, good evening. Welcome to the last workshop of this year. Today is Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. We just have one item on the agenda, so we are going to go ahead and get started, and that is our quarterly sound transit update on the Federal Way link extension in the downtown garage. So I'm going to welcome Kelly Peterson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I will be providing the update on the Federal Way link extension, and then Matt Gilbert from Economic and Community Development will give you an update on the sound transit garage for downtown. So I'm very happy to be here to provide an update on the Federal Way link extension for our viewing audience at home. Oh, Kim, this isn't sliding there.
Working?
No. Thank you. So for our viewing audience at home, the Federal Way link extension is an extension of Sound Transit's light rail system from Angle Lake Station, located just south of SeaTac Airport, down into the city of Federal Way. It's approximately 7.8 miles and is anticipated to open up in 2024 for revenue service. The Federal Way link extension has 3 stations and 3 garages. 2 of those stations are within the city of Kent, one located just south of Kent Des Moines Road off 30th Avenue South, the second on the former Star Lake Park and Ride just north of South 272nd, west of I-5. There we go. This is a slide that you have seen before in the past in our presentations. Again, the Federal Way link extension is a design-build process. So under a normal development, if a project comes in, we get a set of permits, we review everything, issue permits, and they go build. This is a massive project, and so the project is separated into several packages. So as we've moved along and presenting quarterly updates to council, the more yellow we get, the more yellow that has where the permits have been issued. So we have 3 that are left. One is Structure C, that's the elevated guideway between South 259th and the Star Lake Station. That is centered between I-5 and McSorley Wetland. You'll see 90% in December there next to that. That means we anticipate receiving 90% plans from the contractor this month. The other 2 is corridor-wide packages that they're not specific to a segment, but the entire corridor. One is the systems design, and that is specific to the Sound Transit light rail. It's a lot of fiber, a lot of electrical wires. We anticipate that being issued for construction this month, as well as the guideway fire protection. We also anticipate that being issued this month. However, that doesn't mean that the permitting is done. We've talked about permit revisions in the past, and there is a number of permit revisions on this project. So as the packages come in, we identify conflicts, things that may not have been able to be issued for various reasons. We come back and we address the permit revisions. So to date on the project, there's about 550 permit revisions. Not all of them are in the city of Kent, but right now, for permit revisions that have not been issued, staff is currently various stages of the process, about 65 active permit revisions. And those will be ongoing throughout the process. So now we're going to get into the fun part. We have some images here to show you this evening. We're going to talk first of all about Structure B. The image that you see in the background, that is a small part of Structure B, which is also the Kent Des Moines Station. The road in the front, this is 30th Avenue South. And where you see the bus going underneath the guideway, that is an elevated intersection, and that's South 236th Street. The bus is headed to the west towards Pack Highway. We're going to focus just on the structure for now. This is an image that you have seen before, but it's changed just slightly. North is to the left. We have Kent Des Moines Road. Where you see the red on the far left, that is where the guideway is at grade, or it's up on walls. It's not elevated up on columns. Where you see the yellow, basically from Kent Des Moines Station all the way down to the Midway landfill, that is the elevated structure. That area in blue, that's where the area where the girders have been set. So last time when we presented to council, right at the center of the circle, they were down to just behind Lowe's. Since I presented to you last, they have installed the girders down to the Midway landfill. So they have made progress, and some additional girders will be set. As a matter of fact, that started last night into Tuesday next week. So sometimes you go out there and the project changes significantly. We're in that phase with Structure B. So if you go up, weather permitting, you go up KDM next week, you will see girders set across Kent Des Moines Road. So that is going to be work that happens at night. There is some traffic revisions. Sound Transit's been reaching out. We'll also have something on Drive Kent. So I wanted to show you what that looks like from up above. And I had just the photo on the right, but it kind of didn't help tell the story. And the reason why is the photo on the right, it doesn't look like it's very high off the ground. So the photo on the left, if you look very closely, there's a set of stairs, and that's a person right there in the center of the stairs. That's where this image was taken. You climb to the top. Well, not anybody can go up there, but that image is taken looking to the south. So the image on the right, a couple of things I would like to point out to you is that this right there is where the tracks will be located. Off to the right, it goes up. That's the center platform. That's where passengers will enter the train at the KDM station. And then in the far background, you can see where it comes down, and then the guideway bends off to the east. So there's a lot of work that's happening up there besides just setting the girders, getting the platform, getting everything tied together. So this is an area off of 30th Avenue South at the very north end of the city. That's Kent Des Moines Road, where you see the cars looking into the city of Des Moines. That structure that you see in the back just behind the backhoe, that's called the abutment, and this is where girders will be set next Monday and Tuesday. So between the abutment and that column, that work will happen on Tuesday, and then that column that you see there is on the south side of KDM. That's the one that will be set on Monday night, weather permitting. If it ends up being windy, they may end up pushing that back. So now we get into the garage area. This, again, is another artist rendering. Where you have seen that before, this image is taken from the intersection of 236 and 30th. Again, that's the raised intersection. So this is what the garage is going to look like. And this image is one that you saw with the quarterly update. This was taken in April of this year. I do want to point out, the speed of which this is being constructed. We issued permits in late March. It was like 27th, 28th, somewhere in there. This was April 5th. This is late November, right before Thanksgiving, and it's already changed since November. So this is a drone image taken by our communications group. A big shout out to them. They really help us tell our stories here, as you can see tonight. So this is looking to the south. We got KDM Garage in the front. We have the elevated guideway on the right. And I've annotated this a little bit just to help tell the story. So we have the garage. This is the tower crane for the construction of the garage. We've got the guideway where the green is. That's the Kent Des Moines station. The future 236 that will go underneath the guideway. Guideway comes up and back around. There's a couple of those labels that got shifted just slightly. That's Midway Landfill. That big white structure there is Lowe's. So that kind of helps put things in perspective as far as where they're at. The garage today, we could go Friday. Most of that garage, the fourth floor, was poured. In this image, you can see the rebar. But the garage has been poured now. So as we move a little bit further to the south, if you're driving down I-5, I've had a lot of people ask me, what's going on there next to Midway Landfill? They see all this wall construction, and there's a lot of activity that's been happening since the beginning of construction. So this image here, what I wanted to show you, north is to the left. On the far left-hand side, where that yellow line is, that's the end of the elevated guideway, end of structure B, as it comes into an abutment, and the train will go at grade. Each rectangle that you see on the screen right now is a different wall. There's different wall types, there's an abutment, each own design, each permitting for each of these walls. So as you're driving down I-5, this is what you see. There's some MSC walls, there's some Shotcrete walls, but that's the images that you see. It's a little blurry just because we were driving down I-5, had somebody else take the photos. But that's what you're seeing out there to help tell the story to our viewing audience. So now as we get a little bit further down at Star Lake Station, some of the things that has happened since we presented to you. There's ongoing utility work, significant utility work that they had to get prepped before they started some of the other items, such as the garage and the station. 20th Avenue has been shifted. That work is complete. Upon SLA, walls and liner have been completed. That's going to be the Sound Transit-owned pond. You'll see a photo of that in just a second. And significant excavation for both the garage and the station, as well as the foundations. A couple weeks ago, Kiewit also completed the tower crane construction. So that has been installed for the construction of the garage. The embankment work, and then Structures E Capitals, those are completed. That's the elevated structure over South 272nd Street. I love this image. This image is, it's kind of like a Where's Waldo image for me. Every time I look at it, I'm seeing something new and something different. So again, this is from our communications group. So this is the former Star Lake Park and Ride. I'll toggle back and forth with this one as well to help put it in perspective. So we have the yellow line, that's the guideway. The green square is the Star Lake Garage. The orange square off to the left, that is the Star Lake Station. And then we have 26th Avenue, 270th, and then 28th. This portion of the road, you may remember previous presentations, the road used to come over here, took a sharp angle and shifted back. That is some of that work that got completed and shifted over. In that area where you see the cars parked, this is where the future bus drop-off locations will be. But this work is really going to start changing very quickly, very similar down at KDM with the construction of the garage. These are some photos from on the ground. The Star Lake Station on the left. That image was taken from a transit stop on the South 272nd off-ramp. You can see in that photo some of the rebar coming out of the ground. They got the concrete pumper, tower crane in the back, but that's the station starting to come out of the ground. Then on the right, the big area of plywood, that's a shear wall foundation. A week ago Friday, they were setting the first vertical cages on the Star Lake Garage. So as you're driving by, as you start seeing the changes, you will see this changing very quickly. So moving forward in segment 1, between South 240th Street and Kent Des Moines, we're going to continue with permit revisions. The contractor will continue to work on structure B, getting girders installed, finishing the platform at KDM Station, the decking work. They'll complete the pours for the garage and start prepping that for the final exterior finishes, which the folks in Community Economic Development help review and approve. Foundations at KDM Station will begin in early 2022. So all the work that they're doing on structure B, that had to be done before they started that foundation. And it's this next quarter of the foundation for the KDM Station, that's going to start changing significantly in the next year. And then the systems duct bank work, that's some in-ground work around the KDM Station. They'll get that work done, as well as continuing the wet utilities. In segment 2, of course, permit revisions, continuing abutment work near the Midway landfill. They're also going to start installing the sub-ballast. And the sub-ballast is the aggregate between native ground and the ballast, the finer aggregate that the tracks will sit on. So this is a big step in the process. Of course, Star Lake Garage foundation and walls will be a lot of work over the next 3 months, and also setting structure Z girders. That's supposed to happen sometime in January. I don't have the specific date yet, but it's coming soon. And not Federal Link extension related, but I do want to put a slide in here just to talk to council about the Operations and Maintenance Facility South. Last week, the Sound Transit System Expansion Committee voted to recommend the South 336 site in Federal Way as a preferred alternative. That goes to the full board on Thursday, where they will vote to decide which one will be included as a preferred alternative for the final EIS, and they'll make a final decision fourth quarter of 2022. That's my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kelly. I think we've talked about this before. It's always so great to see the pictures because it just puts everything into perspective, and it just makes the presentation so much funner to watch. So lots of good work. Anyone have any questions or comments? Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious, schedule-wise, are we looking pretty good? Any concerns?
They are on schedule. It's always tight. They got to get everything to fall in the right place, and it's more difficult to see that just with COVID. But early on, you would see Kiewit working on different packages and different permit revisions to make sure they're on schedule. That's one of the things that Mark Madfi, Derek Hawks, myself, Alex Liu, we're working with Kiewit all the time. That when revisions come in, we talk to them about prioritization to help them be able to keep schedule. So right now, they're on track.
Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you, Madam President. Kelly, I just wanted to say that was an excellent presentation. It really helped bring it into perspective for me, so thank you very much. It's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions or comments? All right, always great to see you. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next, the downtown garage update.
Good evening. Well, I'll tell you that what Kelly just showed you involved many, many years of behind-the-scenes negotiations and review of all kinds of conceptual work and agreements. that was really boring. He gets the exciting stuff now. So I'm in the midst of the boring part of the downtown garage. So my name is Matt Gilbert, ECD Deputy Director. I'm happy to see you all tonight. I'll orient you one more time since we haven't spoke about this in a bit. The downtown garage is up at the Washington Cold Storage site. This was a site that was agreed to by the city and Sound Transit back in 2020, where they will be siting a 534 stall garage, plus local bus, pedestrian, and traffic improvements around that, right around that area, extending. There's a ped improvement over at the mid-block of 2nd and James. So they're looking a little bit beyond just the cars. They're looking beyond just the garage to kind of improve access to that whole station area. The latest estimates and the cost of this project from Sound Transit is $114 million. So it's a significant investment in Kent. We're happy to see that. It's been a long time coming. This was approved back in the Sound Transit 2 package in 2008. So we're excited that it's moving forward. There was some debate about this during COVID when they were realigning their plans. So we're happy that to be at the top of their list. They made a presentation, or the Sound Transit staff made a presentation to the System Expansion Committee last week when they had some interesting information I thought I'd pass along. The red line in the progression there is COVID. So this is the demand at Kent, Auburn, and Sumner parking facilities. You see at the April 2019, right there, they were all at close to 100%, and that's kind of an aggregate. They dropped off, you can see in April 2020 dramatically, but now they're estimating that their demand is rising at 6% per month, and I think that's system-wide, but it reflects in the counts that they're doing as late as September. So they're up to about 25% at Kent and Auburn. So my question, during COVID was, what will demand look like for transit moving forward? As they were making decisions about spending a lot of money on garages, it's nice to see that the predictions are bearing out in reality as demand returns. So we are acting now as though we will be fully operational. We will return to the full demand that we saw before COVID. And so Sound Transit's estimating 2024, 25, they'll be back to normal. So our current work, just to bring you up to speed, is on the development agreement. Now this is the real wordy, kind of highly lawyered agreement that we will be presenting to the council in Q1 for approval. But a development agreement is something that our code allows for. It's sort of it's a bit of an unusual step in the permitting process, but development agreements, or DAs, are used for unusual projects like Federal Way Link extension, like a big transit improvement here. So it's not unique, but it is a little bit unusual. The purpose is to allow identification of certain project elements that need to be nailed down early. Here, Sound Transit's interested in this because they'll be bringing in a design build contractor. That's a person or an entity that is not on the scene yet. But they do want to have some predictability, as do we, as we move forward. So we're looking at elements with them, such as the project scope, any code departures that might be necessary to put a garage in that location. Like I said, location, various elements of the project, like the pedestrian improvements, the scale of the project. We're pushing for the full 534 stalls. And there's a bit of a push and pull there. Sound Transit likes to have a lot of flexibility moving forward, and we like to have more certainty about the project so that the design build contractor doesn't try to change things too much on us. We recognize that some flexibility is necessary, but we're trying to find that balance. So I have special impacts not listed in codes up there. I'm thinking about concrete streets, and that's something that I'm working closely with Kelly and Chad on. We're trying to identify where those buses that will be arriving at the site will be impacting, because we don't want our streets to be we want them to be strong, so they'll stand up over time. So we accomplish that with concrete. Concrete's more expensive, so we're trying to make Sound Transit commit to concrete streets where there will be buses. But for the most part, we will rely on our current city codes in order to address the impacts. That's going to be the design of the garage, the aesthetic elements, the width of the streets, the sidewalks, all of the utilities, all of those elements are covered in code. So that's the meat of it. Next steps, we'll have a busy, we expect to have a busy first quarter of 2022, where we will be bringing the development agreement for review at ECDC. We'll schedule a public hearing and council action. After that, the project goes to the Sound Transit Committee. It kind of goes through a similar process there, which will kind of bring this element of the work to an end until July of 2022, where they will start the process of hiring a contractor. That's when things will start to get a little bit closer to the construction phase. And finally, they've pushed it back a bit, but they're looking at a 2025 project completion date. So we're working in close partnership with them to make that happen. And that's all I have, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Matt. Anyone have any questions? All right.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think that was the fastest workshop we ever had, but we did have one presentation that we're moving into next year. So it is a little bit short, but great information, great presentation. Thank you for joining us. We will adjourn until our council meeting at 7 o'clock. So thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.